Alrighty, good morning everybody. It is Wednesday, November 13th, 2024. Let's go ahead and take a look at what happened here yesterday. So in the pre-market yesterday, I gave you guys a couple levels that to me, they weren't roadmap levels on the chart. They were levels that just, because we had a lot of open space below the previous daily low here with no levels, I gave you a couple areas that made the most sense to me for potential support if the market was going to pull back. And remember, we talked about coming into the open how it was kind of a crapshoot either way. We had clues for a pullback in the market, but from the low of last week, which was much further down to the lower end of the chart, we did have some bullish clues. So it looked like there was an attempt for a pullback coming into the open yesterday. It was just hard to say how far they were going to get. So let's take a look and see here. They opened and obviously had a lot of trouble right at 50% of the previous day there, right? Right out of the open, you had your tag of the 200 to the tick. Once again, a trade with zero risk that did give you at least 5, 6, 7, 8 points to the upside there, almost a 10-point pop. Actually, take it back, that was just about a 10-point pop, right? So great opportunity right out of the open there to try that test with nice bullish divergence. And then from there, you can see the bears started to regain their strength and began to sell off. So let's look at some of the details here as we sold off. We held the back end of the first roadmap level up on our chart here, came down through the close of the day before our next roadmap level, came right to the back end of it, held that again with just a couple ticks, and also held the back end of the 200 first test after the crossover, right? So great opportunity there as well. Was also, if we were to go back to the fibs, which I haven't really been talking about when we're doing our reviews here, it was also nearly a perfect 50% retracement there from the morning high. So great opportunity there. If you started to recognize the weakness from up top, you saw us get back down through the VWAP, break down through the 200, and then come back, test the back end there. Great opportunity. It also did hold, if you were looking for a little bit of a bullish setup, did hold our holy orange power level there with about 2 ticks of risk, and it brought you right back to that scene of the crime right there like we just talked about. Then from there, again, a little bit of hesitation on the downward side that held the hopeful, but then held the back end of VWAP. And then that brought us down to the lower prices. So as you can see, it was a step off the back end of each roadmap level, right? And then we got down through the hopeful. And once it was down through there, it held the back end, the hopeful, where you had a short opportunity with a bearish divergence off the back end of hopeful and the fast moving average in the direction of the morning momentum there. And again, 0 ticks of risk. And if you got in from there or from one of these other roadmap levels up above, you captured a pretty healthy pullback, right? If we were to zoom out and look, it got all the way down to about 59.90. So we're talking at least 10, 20, 30 points to the downside. If you caught it all the way from the beginning of the morning there, or let's just say maybe from the previous daily close, it was a nice 30-point sell-off, right? So as they continue to hold the back end of these roadmap levels, there's the tag of the 200, right? That's the first tag of the 200 after we got this second crossover. And then they came up, and unfortunately, we did not get a nice, clean, flush hold right off of the previous daily low, which is the next roadmap level in the series here. However, they did, for all intents and purposes, hold the back end of it. It was just a little bit more of a, say, like 2-point push through the level, right? Then as we continue on our merry way down lower, we get our next tag of the 200 moving average, which with a very gaping bearish divergence from that second high. Another beautiful opportunity with, again, pretty much no risk for another 10, 20 points to the downside from there. So lots of great short opportunities yesterday. And then we came down, and the 2 levels I gave you below us, if we got through the previous daily low, was somewhere right around 6,000, 6,001, and somewhere right around 59.90. And what was the low of the day yesterday? Interestingly enough, basically 59.90, right? We came right down into there. They peaked through. We came right into about 86, maybe 87 you could call it, and held and held and held, and then we got the launch back up, right? So it acted very similar to a normal actual official roadmap level there, in the sense that it came in, we got down below it there, held below, and then came back up, and then we held it here. So if you would have bought that second test here, either one, that then began your nice bounce for the day. So the biggest bounce of the day, right off within a couple ticks of that next level I gave you, wasn't an official roadmap level, it was more so just kind of a temporary level, right? Because we don't have anything inside of here yet. And this very well may end up becoming an official roadmap level, but for now, basically held our temporary placeholder. And then as the bulls came back in and started to rally back up, here you can see the pullback right to the 200 moving average after the pullback off of the other roadmap level, which didn't seem to really hold the market up. It came in and bounced twice, very shallow bounces, and then broke through, right? So came back up, pulled back, I would argue, right off that level, and came right to the 200 here, where you got a bullish opportunity with very limited risk, and you would have gotten yourself a nice 20 point, maybe almost 25 point pop all the way up to the high of that swing, right? If you missed out on that buy from down here or from the 200, you did then get a nice aggressive rally to the upside, where they held the top end of our fast moving average the entire way up. So you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 opportunities to buy off that fast moving average with basically no risk, and it would have brought you right up to the back end of the previous daily close, where if I was taking a long trade here, would have taken profit right around Hopel and right in front of Hopel and right in front of the previous daily close. If I would have done that, I would have nailed basically the high of the end of the day, right? So great opportunities to the long side there as we went into the end of the day. And then, as you can see here, a nice little pullback. And on that pullback, still great opportunities on the bullish and the bearish side, right? Held the Hopel there for a little scalp. Held the back end of the Hopel there for the pullback. Held the back end of the 200 on these tests. This was a little shy. If I was waiting for the test, I wouldn't have been filled. But on this right here, and it's also got, here again, you have the crossover of the moving averages, you have the pullback in price, and then you have your first tag of the 200 after the crossover, where again, one tick of risk then gave you a nice 10-point pullback, right? So not only that, but on the way down here, what did you have? You had opportunities to scalp off the VWAP, you had opportunities to scalp off the next roadmap level there. And then right at the end of the day, this is that extended trading hour where typically no one's really trading, right? And we had just kind of it peter out. That brings us here into our overnight session, where it looked like the bears were going to try and pull things back down to the low of the day before there. But as you can see in the overnight session here, the bulls have kind of recovered, at least for now. All right, so in the overnight session here, move this back to where the Hopel was not printing. And you can see a nice hold off the back end of VWAP all through that overnight session, bringing us down to almost to the low of the day before there. And then we've got this little rally. And it hasn't been the cleanest trading in the overnight around these areas, but that brought us all the way up. There was actually a great opportunity here when I was reviewing my charts here this morning, and I got in off this double bottom, and I actually got a pretty decent trade. The only issue is it didn't keep going for 20, 30 points. It just pushed a little over 10 points there and then came back to my entry. So it got a little bit off. It was a pretty nice trade, and now here we are pulling back right back into the overnight range. So beautiful bounce. What do you know? As I speak right here off of the next roadmap level, which was 50% of the day before. So there's our review for the last day. Let's go ahead and jump up to the higher time frames now and see what they have to say for this morning.